Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel, Vintage Sports Card Finds. My name is Paul, and today we're going to take you on a little journey through the 1974 Topps baseball set. An interesting thing about this particular set, my set is complete. I recently purchased within the last year a big collection. I mentioned it was from Canada. It's one of my earlier videos. And in that set, I took the cards that came out of that set, that came out of that collection, and sort of upgraded my 1974 set, where there were some cards that needed to be upgraded. And the set is in pretty good condition. Throughout this process, we're going to take you through the 1974 set and a couple of things to look out for in the 1974 set. As far as I know, the 1974 set is the first one I can remember with a traded set. So there's a 44 card traded set. Like in 1973, there were also checklists that were randomly placed within the certain packs. They weren't in every pack, but they were in random packs. These checklists were put in. And what it did was it told you by team different cards that each team had and what number to find it at. And then, of course, it contains a number of Hall of Famers, and what we're going to take you through today is some of those Hall of Famers. Also, lastly, about the set that is notable, there are some key variations. There's some errors mixed in if you were putting together a master set, but I think that's a little more difficult with vintage. If you can find it, great, but I think ideally what you want to do is be able to put together a whole set with every number. But in this particular set, and I don't have this, so this is probably a little project that I would be looking to do in the future, is that all of the San Diego Padres cards had a variation where it would be put Washington at the top, and in the area where it says the team name, you would have National League here. So you would have Washington here instead of San Diego, and then National League here at the bottom where the team name is, Red Sox, Mets, etc. So that's something to look for if you decide to collect this 1974 set. So just to give you an idea, this is the box. This is the condition of the cards. Pretty sound set for a now, almost 50-year-old set. So that's pretty good. So we're going to take you through some of the different things today. So first, you have here the traded, and let me see if I can put it together here. So you have a lot of the traded cards, and they had the same number. They had some of the same numbers on the back, as you can see on the checklist here. They're not numbered 1 to 44. They're numbered by the original card in the set, and the only difference is that they have traded within the picture. So as you can see, you see there 330 traded, 348 traded. The Lou Piniella is 390 traded, or T. So you have the checklist, and then just a variety of the cards. Some of these cards in the traded, I probably haven't upgraded all of them, but they're not my main concern, really. My main concern was the base set. But there are some notable players in here. Mike Marshall. And a couple of others. Here you got Reggie Cleveland, not a main player. Ron Santo, traded to the Chicago White Sox. Juan Marichal, traded to the Boston Red Sox. This is an interesting player, right? I mean, Juan Marichal's vintage cards you would think would do better, but for whatever reason, his cards don't seem to get the same price as some of the other players. Very good pitcher. Lou Piniella, who started out with the Kansas City Royals, I believe, and then went to the New York Yankees, where really he made his name both as a player and then as a coach, manager. So I think that's the main players. There you got Felipe Alou, Milwaukee Brewers. And a couple of other, no huge names, with the exception of Marichal, and I would say primarily with the Marichal and the Lou Piniella and Ron Santo, probably the key players in that traded set. This traded set is very much you can find those cards. They're not hard to find. In fact, if you buy a lot of any kind of cards that are vintage with some vintage in it, you'll probably find some 74 traded in it. They're not hard to find. And this here are the checklists we talked about. Now the 73 checklists would be blue border. In this one, in the 74, you have the red border. Okay. And there should be 22 of these. I've never really gone out of my way to necessarily upgrade these, so you might get some clunkers in here. But for the most part, the idea was to get all of them if I could. And that's what I've been trying to do. I don't even know if I have all of them. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to sort of rattle through. I know there's supposed to be 24 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So I do have all 24. Some of them, most of them are unmarked, but there might be one or two in here that are marked. I would have to there you go. The Indians is marked. There's a couple, I believe, that are marked. So that's something I'm going to work on in terms of that set and sort of building it, making sure that they're all in a similar grade as the set, and then that they also have that they also are all unmarked. So let's take you through some of these guys. Here we have Carl Yastrzemski of the Boston Red Sox, Hall of Famer. Steve Carlton. What I did was I tried to look for players. I went through the baseball trading card database, see which one, some of the more high-priced players or key players and where they were in the set, and I sort of dug them out. Steve Carlton, famous player for the Phils. Carlton Fisk, longtime Red Sox catcher, famous for that Game 6 home run at Fenway to send the 1975 series to the Game 7, where, of course, in true Red Sox fashion, they found a way to lose, despite having the lead in Game 7. Pete Rose referred to that game as probably the greatest game he's ever played in. Just an amazing game, back and forth. So truly epic baseball game. But, you know, it's funny when you talk about the 75 series. I'm sure from a Cincinnati perspective, everybody talks about the fact that the Big Red Machine won the World Series. But from a Red Sox perspective, you hear a lot about Game 6. In fact, there was a book written about Game 6, not Game 7. Just funny how that worked out. Reggie Jackson, Hall of Famer when he was with the Oakland Athletics. Oakland Athletics throughout the 70s, major powerhouse in the American League. And Pete Rose from the Big Red Machine, famous for having a gazillion hits, but not being in the Hall of Fame, of course, because of gambling issues. Curious to hear what you think about that, whether Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, should not be in the Hall of Fame. Certainly the fact to hold him out dates back to the 1919 White Sox and the scandal related to that series and them throwing the World Series. So obviously gambling took on a whole new perspective in baseball. You couldn't gamble on baseball. So Pete Rose, of course, did it as a manager. Don't know if he bet as a player, but I'm pretty sure he did. Bart Giamatti gave Pete Rose, Bart Giamatti had the goods on Rose, and he gave him multiple opportunities to just come clean. And kind of like with the PED scandals of baseball that happened in the 90s and early 2000s, the guys who sort of came clean and did a mea culpa kind of got off a little bit easier, where the guys who went to Congress and wagged their fingers and said no are all still awaiting their spot in the Hall of Fame as well, if they ever get in. Mike Schmidt. So this is a Mike Schmidt second year card. This is probably one of the more valuable cards in the set because it's a Schmidt second year. Schmidt, one of the greatest third basemen, certainly in baseball history. Just a phenomenal career, and beautiful card. And let's hit some of the others here. We have Harman Killebrew of the Twins. It's one of his last cards. I believe Harman Killebrew's last card was the 1975 Topps. So here we have Willie Mccovey. And again, this is a prime example of the San Diego Padres. So you see that, Mccovey's San Diego Padres. There is a different variation of this card that would say here, Washington, and then National League, or Nationals, I think is what it was supposed to stand for. I don't know exactly what, but I believe it's National League. It says National League on it. So that's Mccovey. Rollie Fingers, another elite player from that Oakland mini dynasty of the 70s. One of my favorite players, Lou Brock, still to this day, second all time in steals. I know they don't steal the way they used to in baseball, but certainly just an elite player for the St. Louis Cardinals. Here we have Frank Robinson, later in his career. Frank Robinson with the California Angels. Just a great player, Hall of Famer. Just recently passed away in the last 3 or 4 years, I think. Great ambassador to the game as well. Rod Carew, just an incredible athlete, great player, Hall of Famer, another elite player with the Minnesota Twins. And Jim Palmer. There's a couple of cards I left out. There's I didn't dig out the Thurman Munson. I didn't dig out a couple of other, like Tom Seaver, etc. There's other players, Tom Seaver, one of the best pitchers of all time. I just wasn't able to dig out that card just then. And then, of course, some of the big dogs from this set. Here we have Nolan Ryan. Any Nolan Ryan card, big deal. The Express. I mean, right, what this guy was able to do in terms of career no-hitters, career strikeouts, longevity in the game. Nolan Ryan was just the epitome of a horse. a million innings, a million strikeouts, 7 or 8 no hitters. And I know no hitters are kind of a fluky thing, but to me, who grew up watching Roger Clemens pitch for the Red Sox, while Nolan Ryan was still pitching in the league at a high level, this is a guy from the late 60s pitching at a high level into the late 80s and early 90s. It's just remarkable what this guy was able to do. Just a big, strong, boss who commanded the strike zone and dominated in both leagues, right? Played with the Mets, played with the Houston Astros, the California Angels, just an elite player. There should be the Hall of Fame and then the wing of the Hall of Fame that includes guys like this, right? Just beyond elite players. So that's Nolan Ryan. Johnny Bench, arguably certainly one of the greatest catchers of all time, Hall of Famer. Johnny Bench. You could put Carlton Fisk in that category. There's some newer guys that you would have probably included in that. So like maybe an Ivan Rodriguez and a couple of other guys. Yogi Berra, certainly a little bit before my time, but by all indications, just an elite player for a very great team. So that's Johnny Bench, Hall of Famer, card number 10 in the set. Just a beauty. And then the coup de grace of the set, probably the biggest rookie in the set. No, I'm going to leave it in the package. The package has got a little bit of, been doubled up. But Dave Winfield, this is the key rookie in the set. That's why I think this set's a pretty doable set. This is the type of set you could put together, and it isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg. The Winfield, if you buy it raw, you probably buy it anywhere between, depending on what condition you're willing to live with, you probably buy it anywhere between $25 and $50, I'm guessing. And then the rest of the set, you can sort of pick up in bulk as you make purchases, especially on eBay, because people are going to include stars from this set in some partial buys. So like, for example, if somebody's selling 500 of the 660 on an eBay lot, you might get some stars mixed in because selling the stars individually would, not command the type of dollars that some dealers would consider worth it to list each card individually. So you might be able to pick up, Jim Palmer's and a couple of other guys like that here and there on the relatively inexpensive. This card, for the longest time in this set, I had a beater. It had 4 rounded corners, and And then when I picked up that collection, and I'll put the link to it in the description of that video if you want to watch it, this card was in that set. And so I took this one, put it in my set, and then I took the one I had and put it in my eBay store. And it sold, of course, even in less than stellar condition. It didn't have any creases, but it just had solid rounding on the corners. So it was probably a G to VG card. No creases, but pretty good nonetheless. All right, Dave Winfield. That is the key card in this set. Also, I will put a description to the eBay store. I will put a link to the eBay store in the description. Please let me know which is your favorite card. Feel free to comment. Always looking to interact with everyone out there on YouTube. This is kind of what I'm going to do. I want to look at different sets, tell you a little bit about the sets, things to look for, these kind of special sets. Does it include a traded? Is there anybody to look for in the traded? Does it have special checklists? Did it have other things to look for that are like side sets or subsets that weren't included in the base set, but certainly worth chasing to put together a nice vintage master set, if you will, or as close as you can to a master set. So that's my video on the 1974s. I'd love it if you comment. Please like, subscribe, share if you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll be going out tomorrow to see if they can find any cool vintage card finds. So there might be a quick video tomorrow. If not, certainly at the beginning of next week. I want to thank you all for your support, and any feedback that you can provide is more than welcome. Thanks again, guys, and have a great day.